Hello again, YouTube. Well, I fucked myself sitting in here talking to my phone when I should have been bolting my ass quickly into the cage. There was a woman in front of me who leased the last available cab, and I guess there was a guy just in front of her who got 820, the cab that I had drove yesterday. In fact, that was it right in front of me. In the video there, which is the cab that I drove for 48 hours. So had I got here right tight at 8 o'clock, I could have been driving 820 again. You know, one thing that's been a real common theme since I've been back at VIP is a lot of conflicting information from different people. Oh my God, I saw a homeless person bent over with his ass hanging out of his pants. Anyway, that's disturbing and distracting. Anyway, where was I? So, yeah, the guy in the cage, and I forget his name. Terrible with names. I should really make a conscious effort to try to be better at that. I don't know, I just think somewhere in the development of my brain I just determined that is irrelevant information, and now I just really struggle to remember it. I mean, seriously, like, my sister asked me to make she didn't really give me clarification on what she wanted, but she had sent me a text message asking me if I could make a list of names for Brianna's obituary, and without further explanation from her, which I never got, I'm assuming that would be a list of names of surviving family members. And honest to God, I don't think I could do that. Not without a lot of help, outside help. Like, off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of all of Brianna's sisters. There are days I struggle to remember the names of all of my sisters. And certainly I can't, off the top of my head, name all my nieces and nephews. So, there's that. Anyway, moving on from my struggles to remember names, the guy in the cage, I forget his name. I think where I'm struggling with people with the cage is, so far I've been to the cage, I've had, say, 3, maybe 4 cage interactions. I think about this. Yeah, I didn't interact with the cage when I got my first cab. No, I did. I did have a brief interaction with the cage. I didn't get the keys and stuff from the cage, but I did return my checkout form to the cage. So that would have been an interaction. At one point I had this super awkward interaction with the cage where Carl asked me to go do something with the cage, which made 0 sense to me, and it seemed to make 0 sense to the person in the cage. But it was a fun, awkward interaction. And the girl that was in the cage at that time was very cute. I remember that. So that would be 2. And then the third one was when I came in and paid my first lease and cashed out the vouchers associated with it, which was actually my longest interaction. I think that's the same guy I just saw today. Memory's serving right, which is something I never take for granted. Yeah, so that would have been 3rd interaction. 4th interaction was definitely a different person because it was an attractive woman. That would have been when I turned in the cab. And then just now, going in and not being able to check out a cab because there were no cabs available. I have the key in the code there. That's weird, it didn't work. There it goes. There's mental illness, multitasking struggle. still holding my fingers up, counting how many interactions I've had with the cage. So a total of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interactions. 5 interactions with the cage. This last one, just being told there's no available cabs, and had I shown up just a little bit earlier, I would have got one. And anyway, Carl, when I talked to him about, hey, will there be a cab available, when I come back tomorrow? When do I come back to get another one? What's the procedure to do that? And he's pretty much told, there is no reserving cabs, first come, first serve. Good luck with that. He seemed kind of puzzled that I was turning it in after 48 hours, which is funny because, his fixation on, you're going to say I didn't tell you this, you're going to say I didn't tell you that. Dude, I told you that I have a Thursday night DJ gig, and I told you that I'm going to a family funeral this coming weekend. So you should have been very aware I was turning in my cab. And I did tell him I would be turning it in Wednesday afternoon. So it's, his bewilderment with me turning in the cab only 48 hours after getting it, yeah, dude, but I told you. There's a funny double standard of what he expects me to remember of things he told me versus what he expects himself to remember of things I tell him. But such is life. A lot of people have double standards, and I'm certainly not immune from that myself. Anyway, what was I? Carl had told me the last time when I talked to him about it, I was just turning in the cab, about trying to check out a cab. That he said get there right at 8, which I tried to do. I probably got there about 8:15, 8:18-ish, and continued to ramble on this vlog. And I actually walked into the cage a little bit after 8:30. But I'm not an 8 a.m. kind of guy, so that's really pushing it for me to make 8 a.m. happen, especially considering that I didn't, get home until about 3 in the morning, and certainly didn't get to sleep until about 3:30, 3:40, and then at one point woke up in the middle of the night. I'm going to say probably, early morning. It's like 5, 6 a.m. ish. I woke up and it took me a while to get back to sleep. Priscilla never came home last night. And I suppose that's as much to, my fault as it is hers. She's just, let's just say there's not much physical intimacy left in that relationship. There's a lot of don't touch me, don't touch that, don't touch me. And she's not touching me, and it's I'm okay with that for a day. I realize there's going to be a week of that a month, but I'm okay with that in the case of severe physical ailment. But once it goes beyond that, I'm just if you're not wanting to have sex with me, are you really in a position to complain if I take others up on that do want to? Why would you be jealous of something that you're not willing to, of me doing something with somebody else that you're not willing to do with me? And I'm sure I'll get some hate for that, and maybe that's really sexist, but to be honest, I wouldn't expect any different from her. If I was absolutely refusing to touch her and to be physically intimate with her, I would fully expect her to be looking for that elsewhere. So I actually did have an offer for that came in about 3 in the morning after I got to bed, and I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of tempting, but I declined it, partially because I am attempting to sort of work through this with Priscilla, and I am mostly I just gotten dressed and I was really tired, and I really wanted to be up and getting in the cab at 8 this morning, but I guess that's not to be. Try it again tomorrow morning. This is actually why I quit with VIP Cab was formerly Allstate Cab, and this is actually why I had quit. Well, to be honest, I never did quit per se, but why while I was still a driver for Allstate Cab, I went and became a driver for Yellow Cab in Tucson. There were just too many times where I wanted to drive, and I went, and there were no available cabs, and I, lost days of income that I was kind of planning on, hoping on, kind of, sort of relying on to pay my bills, and they didn't happen, and so I went to another company that in hopes that they could more reliably provide me with a cab, and they did. And it wasn't until later, when things went sour there again, that I went back to Allstate. And at that time, it was still the same management and everything. And they were very glad to see me back, because at that point in time, they were low on drivers and had cabs sitting on the lot without people driving them. So they were quite eager to give me another cab. But and I told them, well, they're like, well, why did you stop driving? And I'm like, well, how many times am I going to come to the cage and not have a cab available and continue to do that? I've got bills to pay, and it's not going to happen if I'm not driving a cab. So, anyway, a little frustrated that's happening here already. And on that note, I may pursue, trying to get back with Yellow Cab on next week. I mean, next week, if come Monday I'm not in a cab again because there's none available to be leased, yeah, it's probably my next see if I can be treated as a new driver with no previous experience down at Yellow. I have been informed that Discount Cab no longer exists, which is ironic, because that's the only one I have no experience as a driver. The only major company that I have no experience as a driver with. But yeah, I get the feeling those are the only real games in town. I do know there's a third company, small company that exists, but their whole reason for existence is just to service an airport contract. And yeah, I have zero desire to be an airport driver. So, as I told somebody else who was asking me about, what it's like driving for VIP Taxi, he asked about, picking up the airport, and yeah, and I told him that, I speak fluent English and I know how to read a map, so that makes me overqualified as an airport driver. And then he was like, well, I did blah, blah, blah airport. And I'm like, yeah, you did it in an Uber, not in a taxi. It's a completely different, we're comparing apples and bacon here. So, yeah. So disappointed. I really wanted to be in a taxi right now. The shitty thing is that because of Carl's insistence, so every time you come down to the cage, not being presentable in the way they want me to be presentable while I'm picking up customers, but he was very adamant that that's how I look when I come down to the cage. I've got a good 15-20 minutes of my personal time invested in getting into this uniform that I'm going to undo and reverse when I get back, although that'll go a lot quicker. For not, it's the time to come down. I'm basically out 30 minutes of my life that I'm not getting paid for. 30, maybe 40 minutes for nothing. So that's not it's up. That's not a good thing. And there goes the manager. I need to talk to the manager of the storage place. I need to talk to her. Or do I? Looks like I need to talk to her. Oh yes, I have her Blu-ray player, and I've been lollygagging on that. I need to talk to her about that. Anyways, anything else I need to cover in this? I've already rambled for 14 minutes. Yeah, Super Slow, as far as I know, has not come home. Around bar closing time, she just absolutely flooded my phone with text messages and was blowing up my phone. Is there any surefire way to not get me to respond to you? Blow up my phone. I'm frustrated with you and I'm already having conversations. I'm probably not going to interrupt those conversations to answer my phone. And if you send me, 10 different text messages, if you send me 2 text messages and I haven't responded to them, sending me 10 more is not going to elicit a response. It just gives me all that much more than I need to read before I can adequately respond to you, which means it's going to be that much longer until I do respond to you. So, yeah. Just note to everybody who contacts me, yeah, like if I was supposed to respond to you in a certain period of time and I didn't, then probably give me another nudge, but don't send me a text message and then when I don't respond in 30 seconds, send me another text message, and then when I don't respond in 2 minutes, send me another text message, and then completely flood me with text messages for the next 10 minutes. That's pretty much guaranteeing you're not getting a response from me until the next day, no matter who you are. Sorry, Mom. And it's just that it's that much more I have to read. It's that much more time that I will have to dedicate to those messages before I can respond to them. Whereas had it just been the 2 short messages, I probably could have, I would have responded to that as soon as I got a moment to myself. I was very engaged in conversation at 2 o'clock in the morning. So not trying to be rude to those I was engaged with conversation with at that time by, dealing with repetitive messages from somebody I'm extremely frustrated with. Anyway, I'm at my storage, as you can see. I keep forgetting what the place is called now. In my head, it'll always be Pack and Store. I really struggle with name changes. I struggle enough with remembering names, so to add changes involved, it makes it all more difficult. But yeah, I got some things I need to handle here. Mostly just pulling the recycling out of my car. So. And I think I'm going to start, at this point I've been, I don't know if I've really talked about this in my vlogs. So I mentioned that I have an eBay store and I sell music and media on there. My hottest product by far is new vinyl, new old stock vinyl. Just basically retail arbitrage, picking up heavily discounted new vinyl from major chain stores and other outlets. And then turning around and flipping it as as new product, or sometimes out of print new old stock if I hold it long enough. I'm moving quite a bit of that, and my profit margin's been quite nice on most of it. So, but I'm still selling CDs now. CDs, this is for those paying attention to the music resale market, music in general. And I've had some people laugh. It's like, you still listen to CDs? I'm like, yeah, every day, pretty much. So, speaking of, back to the guy that did my ride along at VIP Taxi, it's kind of funny. Like when I mentioned CDs, he's like, "Oh, you still listen to CDs? Blah blah blah. I use Spotify." And it was really funny that he would come back after that, after us all having conversations about Uber and Lyft and how he doesn't use those because he doesn't have a bank account, doesn't use banking apps, doesn't use money apps, and doesn't use sales apps. And I just kind of got the feeling this guy was just really, technically ignorant when it comes to operating a smartphone. So it's really funny that suddenly, when I mentioned CDs, he's like, "Oh, I don't. Oh, you don't use Spotify?" Like, so I guess Spotify's really been dumbed down. Maybe I should check it out. But at this point, YouTube and Amazon Music more than satisfy my streaming needs, which are pretty minimal, as I prefer using physical media. Anyway, so I am still kind of hoarding CDs, and one of the main reasons for that, and I'm already kind of seeing signs that this is the direction it's going to go. For many years, I was hoarding vinyl, and people were like, "Why records are outdated? Why are you hoarding vinyl? Why are you hoarding vinyl?" If I still had all the vinyl that I had purchased from thrift stores at 25 cents a record, 50 cents a record, from yard sales that I picked up, where it's like, well, the records are $1 a piece. Well, what do you want for the whole box? Oh, I don't know, $10. Take the box. If I still had all that vinyl that I had collected, that I had duplicate copies of, and there was a place I was stockpiling at my house in Tucson. Because at that point in time, my business was mostly selling CDs, primarily used CDs. I sold a lot of used CDs. In fact, at that time, I was flipping more cassettes than vinyl. I had found a really good outlet for selling used cassettes. I had kiosks, and here we're talking like 2001, 2002. I had kiosks inside convenience stores. In 2002, even though the cassette format was quite dead, there were still a lot of people driving cars with cassette decks in them. And I found that if those people could walk into a thrift store, or not, I'm sorry, not a thrift store, but walk into a convenience store and see a rack with popular cassettes, used but inspected, with quality guarantee, and I had my business card in there, of course, willing to back up that guarantee because it drew business into my website. And I had my website information in as another way to advertise it. I found that was an impulse buy, that people would happily spend $2 to $4, sometimes even more if it was a really hot title. If they walk into a gas station and they've got a cassette deck in their car and they don't have that many cassettes left, and whoa, there's Nirvana Nevermind for $5. Yeah, I am so sick of Tucson radio. I think I'm gonna spend $5 and buy that tape. Or a new edition for $2. Nice. I did move quite a bit of tapes that way. But at that time, I was hardly moving any vinyl whatsoever. And granted, I wasn't making much effort to move vinyl. But in 2001, 2002, people were laughing at me for hoarding vinyl because, who wants vinyl? Nobody buys vinyl anymore. Nobody uses vinyl anymore. That's obsolete. I saw it as still a viable thing, and certainly still a collector's format. So I was stockpiling every good quality, condition and good title album I could get my hands on, and largely buying them for $1 a pop or less. And at that point in time, my main money with music, at the time I was calling my business Trax Music. I've pretty much just gone away with the image of Trax Music, and kind of thank my ex-wife for destroying that, whatever goodwill there was towards that brand on the internet in general. Yeah, I've distanced myself from the name Trax Music, and I'll probably never revive that again. Honestly, at this point, all my music sales, I'm generally operating under the name Dan the Taxi Man. So, in fact, I pretty much operate everything under the name Dan the Taxi Man, which is kind of ironic because I'm just now coming back to taxi after 13 years of not doing it. And it's been funny because I've been asked before, why what's the business name Dan the Taxi Man? And well, this is what I've done, and I'm known as that. So here we go. I had to put a DBA on my application for a tax ID. Dan the Taxi Man seemed as good as anything, especially since that was what I was doing the most of at the time. Anyway, moving on. So the vinyl, I'd stockpiled lots of vinyl then, and it's God, if I still had all that vinyl, I would be making money hand over fist selling it, because those records, which were just stock that was not easy to move at that time, I see Journey albums in good condition selling for $20 in used record stores, and at that time I'd have been hard pressed to sell it for $2. So I can't go back. I can't recover that. I'm sure Daniela had that all destroyed, or sold it or whatever, and I can't really ask for anything more out of her, as she took care of herself way better than I ever could have. And I'm still picking up vinyl, but that's not really my focus right now. That's my focus. Like I said, my primary product on on eBay is selling, flipping, retail arbitrage of new vinyl. I've sold a couple of used albums, but mostly new vinyl. But looking towards the future of the business formerly known as Trax Music, right now CDs are at their lowest value in demand ever. And it's unbelievable how people are just giving away CDs, and by giving away I mean selling them super cheap. And I've seen this before. This was vinyl 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and I see how vinyl is now, and I see the potential for that, for CDs turning around like that. In fact, I've noticed with some CDs it already has turned around like that. If it's a CD that's never been released on vinyl, and it's not available on streaming services, and it's out of print, it's been out of print for an extended period of time, it will bring some pretty good money. even though CDs are not in demand. Certain particular CDs are in demand. In fact, I just sold a new old stock Sesame Street CD for, I think I sold it for like $18. And I probably bought it at a thrift store for $1, you know, maybe $2. So yeah, right now the only CDs I'm listing up, for the most part, the majority of the CDs I'm listing for sale on eBay right now are new old stock items, which I've been stockpiling for quite some time. But I am stockpiling all kinds of CDs right now, as I can pick them up for, you know, an average of $1 a piece. In fact, all the ones I bought another load at Goodwill last night, and they were, I was anticipating paying $1 each, and then the cashier told me how to get a 20% discount on my entire order. So they ended up being 80 cents a piece. Now I know that these are going to be very difficult for me to sell now, but I'm still stockpiling them, as I feel prices are at rock bottom right now, which means they're probably going to go up. I don't see them getting any lower before they continue to go up. So, oh, here we go. Ooh. Oh, I hate this volume knob. Hey, Pearl Jam. That's actually a used CD that I sold recently, not 10, the album that song came off of, but I recently sold a used copy of Versus, and I didn't sell it for a lot of money, but I think I got $5 out of it, $5 or $6. So used CDs do sell if they're the right titles. Anyway, right now I'm stockpiling them, and it's gotten to the point where they're taking up entirely too much space in my apartment. So I'm going to sort these ones and get a space within my storage for them, since the heat in storage I don't believe will damage CDs at all. After my recycling. Anyways, that's what's up. You know, as long as I'm shooting this video, how about a look inside my storage? I don't think that's been included in my vlogs yet. Feel weird that I can't even say the name of this place, but in my mind it'll always be Pack and Store. Hell, this is probably where Lily was conceived. Oh shit. So constant struggle of remembering which key goes in this hole. I do have one key ring that only has this key. So let's help. All right. And welcome to my office. Oh, what's going on in here? Let's see. That's that right there by the door. That is karaoke and DJ equipment that I like to keep right and ready to go should I need to use it for gigs. I was using a lot of that stuff every Friday for Jay's, and I don't know if I've covered this yet, but yeah, I've been completely let go from Jay's in favor of Skeeter. I did go to Skeeter's show last night. To be completely fair and honest, he was very hospitable to me and very cool, and actually did his best to make me sound good at his show, and I appreciate that. I did have a good time at Jay's last night, so yeah, there's that. I don't feel what he was doing was as good for the bar as what I was doing, but you know, that's another discussion for another time. And oh my God, I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but there was the one crowd that used to come in for me, young Hispanics, and a bunch of very attractive women that I'm fairly sure are lesbians. And not that that's a bad thing. I quite enjoy watching them. But yeah, they're into hip hop and R&B, and I'd say they're all probably 30-ish, and they were asking. This one guy who was at the table with him was asking for "Hypnotized" by Notorious B.I.G. Well, I think he was saying, hey, you need to play Biggie "Hypnotized," and he had just and Skeeter had just got done playing Juicy. To Scooter's defense, at least he's kind of catching on. That's definitely the most popular, Notorious B.I.G. track. So, but he told the guy, hey, I just played that. No, you just played Juicy. You didn't just play Hypnotized. It's a different song, old man.
And then it was really funny. A little bit after that, in the same kind of conversations, they were still continuing to bug him about playing Juicy, is that he, or about playing, Hypnotize, is he's like, he said, I played that. I played Big, Nelson Big. That's not a band I'm familiar with. I think that's what he said. Nelson Big. That's not a band I'm familiar with. And I just lost it. That was. Oh, yeah, that was a very Caucasian moment, or old man moment, whatever you want to say. I mean, I'm pretty Caucasian myself, but I'm pretty familiar with the discography of Biggie Smalls. Anyway, other stuff in here. Yeah, more audio gear ready to go. I still do recycling. It's not particularly profitable anymore. For more information on that, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that explain the flaws in the United States recycling system, especially surrounding plastics. But the recycling center that I've been selling to for years, Brightgate Recycling, they are still in operation. They've dropped their prices down tremendously as far as what they pay, and it just is what it is. They're being more than fair with what they're paying for materials. I'm sure they're at this point really struggling to sell that at a profit. So I realize at this point I'm making next to nothing on my recycling. I don't do recycling for the money. I mean, the money's there, and it's certainly motivated to keep me doing it, but I do recycling primarily because I believe it's the right thing to do, and that by continuing to do it, I'm hopefully continuing to make a difference, an environmental difference, as opposed to just throwing it in the landfill and hoping that the city of Phoenix, does something responsible with it, because they're certainly under no obligation to do something responsible with it. And at this point, the most fiscally responsible thing they can do with it is just dump it in a landfill, sad as that is. And I mean, you can't fault a municipality for making decisions based on what is the most financially fiscal thing to do. In fact, I also often mock liberals for not being fiscally responsible. So if Phoenix still has a recycling program, and I'm thankful for that, but yeah, it should. If Phoenix was to abandon it, as many other cities have, I wouldn't blame them whatsoever, as I'm sure it's not a profitable thing for the city, and it probably costs the city a lot of money to continue to deal with the blue bins and the contents of the blue bins. Oh my God, it is time to clean up that guy's car. It is nasty. Nasty, gross. Just too much fucking clutter going on in here. Anyway, it's gonna get hot and muddy today, so I'm just pulling the recycling out of the car and into the the fuck, there's a microphone here. Oh, that's that Shure microphone. I forgot I stashed it there. I gotta get that thing working as well. All right. Well, even though I don't have a cab, I do have plenty of work to do today. I just hope I don't have much drama with Priscilla, because I anticipate that coming up. Some more boxes. Oh! Okay. I'm so focused on the cab driver thing, I've been neglecting all my other ventures and pursuits. Yeah, the recycling is always the first thing to take a back seat when I'm working on other stuff, because it doesn't particularly make much money. But I tell you, every day I do cash in at Brightgate. There's usually puts about the last couple trips have been about $80-90, but it does put some money in my pocket for the efforts, and I certainly get that good feeling that comes from knowing at least I'm still doing something positive for the environment. Anyway, back to the CDs. Yes, I'm still stockpiling CDs, and at this point in time, I have too damn many at home. And part of me is like, well, maybe I should stop doing it now. I'm running out of space, but there's plenty of space in space. So I have been seriously considering about getting a different storage facility over where Priscilla has her storage, I forget the name of the place. It's a corporate place, but this is kind of a corporate place now too, now that it's no longer family owned as pack and store. But it operates a lot less corporate than most corporate storage facilities. Anyhow, this is, God, I don't know where to start doing this in here. Yeah, the biggest flaw, the place that she's at is air conditioned and it's got lighting. I would imagine it's more expensive than here, but from what I've heard from her, I don't think it's much more expensive than here. Let's see, DVD cases. That's what these boxes are. Oh, I did put those for sale on eBay, and they haven't been selling, and the flaw with them seems to be that it costs, once the shipping cost is factored in, it's not. I sold 10. I estimated with the help of the eBay app of what it would cost to ship, and I estimated wrong, and I ended up, it ended up costing me more to ship than what I was paid for them. So those went out at a loss. Hopefully the person who got them enjoyed them, and that's fine. It's not like I think it was a big loss. These were all acquired for free. Something somebody else was tossing out. So it's still a good product. I'll just need to move them back here so I can, oh shit, stay till I can sort out a better way to market those. You know, something I've been considering doing with the and it's kind of silly in gaming the system, but something I've been seriously considering doing with the oh, here's my stock of laser discs. I'm also selling laser discs on eBay, but that's not a product that's moving very fast either. I have sold a handful, but they do sit in my inventory for quite a while before moving, so it doesn't make sense for me to put too much effort into these. And a lot of these titles are ones that I've checked, and there's plenty of people that have those same titles for sale on eBay, and they're not asking much for them. So now's not the time. Business expense. I'll put that there. Will I ever compile that and do my taxes? I don't know. I'm trying to make sure I got all the receipts in case I do get. Yes, I do need to. Oh, let's see what other stock is here. This is new old stock CDs. This is Christmas CDs. Where to put bags? I guess I'll put them there. Amongst the one thing I've really enjoyed, I don't think I've talked about Reddit in a while. So I am very much an active Redditor. Username is Dan the Taxi Man on Reddit. I use Dan the Taxi Man everywhere. Damn it. Let go. Dan the Taxi Man on Reddit. My favorite thing on Reddit has become, one of my favorite things has become all the subreddits that have to do with media collecting. One of which is actually a growing and active community on there is called, it's just simply called CD Collectors. We recently hit a really big milestone on the amount of growth in that subreddit and the amount of members in it. I forget what the amount is, but it's interesting that there's that many, and you still play CDs? Nobody uses CDs anymore. It's amazing how many people are collecting CDs, but boy, the conversations that go on there are pretty funny. And it's interesting. One thing is certainly striking me as interesting in that is that a lot of the, I think, sort some of these out that need to go home with me. I want that to go home with me and that to go home with me, mostly because they're in cardboard covers. I want to get some protective sleeves on them. Trans-Siberian Orchestra Christmas. I keep saying I'm not going to buy any more Christmas, but then I'm not going to walk away from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That's a pretty viable title. Okay, Ottmer Liebert. I'm pretty sure I got another one of those. So I want to get that. And I want to figure out which one gets sold.